Yes, we're back again. Kristi and Katie, your crime time friends. Stories, justice, laughs collide. True Crime Squad, come join the ride. Grab the clues, let's take a stand. For victims' voices, hand in hand. True Crime Squad, it's time to shine. Season 6, your turn, your time. True Crime Squad, where justice meets hilarity.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the True Crime Squad. This is Katie Weaver. I'm here with my sister, co-host, and partner in crime, Kristi Brower. Hello.
Hello. Hey everybody.
How's it going?
It is good. It's Monday. I can't believe it's already Monday.
Oh, well, when you do what we did.
When you party all weekend, that is what happens.
Yeah, so we weren't here last Thursday because we were on our way to Salt Lake to go to a Cyndi Lauper concert. And let's just say girls did want to have fun.
We sure did. Look at that.
And I will tell you, we were in a sea of women around our age and older looking just like that.
Yep. We were in very good company. I actually saw multiple women wearing the same shirt as Katie.
Yes.
I thought it was really funny.
That was a popular, and I'll tell you,
Good
by
taste.
God, I'm going to keep wearing it because I loved it. I thought it was
Oh,
so
it's
cute.
so cute.
I
It
love
is.
that off the shoulder look. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, we had a ton of fun, and the concert was awesome. The most hilarious thing happened at the concert when Kara was on the outside of us and kind of where people were, coming in. And this lady, I don't know what she was doing. She was trying to walk behind her. But just as she walks up to Kara, and Kara's in one of those low lawn chairs, she turns around. Like, I guess she was going to scoot past her. Not kidding. She hit her right in the face with her butt cheek and then just kind of wiped her butt all the way across the back of Kara's head. And I had just turned to say something to her when that happened. So I saw the whole thing and the deeply disappointed look on Kara's face.
Can you believe that just happened? Oh my God.
Gosh, I laughed myself silly. But that was after you put on quite the show at the Airbnb.
Well, I did. I had temporary dyslexia, and when I went to ordered our dinner on DoorDash. I reversed the house numbers, so we were in 98. I put down 89. I didn't realize it. Our food was delivered. We opened the door. There's nothing there, and we're like, "Uh-oh, problem." And so I looked it up, and so I snuck across the street and stole the food back off their front step because it was right across the street from us, and then I just booked it back to her. Because, you don't know. You don't know who's answering that door.
Right.
You don't know.
And you were stealing their food.
I was, except it was our food. But, it sort of looked like I was stealing something off somebody's front step. But that's okay.
Kind of did. And watching you sprint across the street with these bags of food, that was very funny. So
I wasn't very, covert. You could see I was running with 2 bags of food. But I don't know. I was like, what if they come out and, think I'm stealing from them, or I don't know. This is Utah. Have a shotgun. Who knows?
It's on their steps. Finders keepers. Losers go to Burger King.
Right. Exactly.
Oh my gosh. I'm
did
still
prevail,
learning
though.
how to have bangs, and I'm a slow learner apparently. Okay, there we go.
Oh, there we go. And then the next day, every time I went to order something for us on DoorDash, everyone was like, "Did you change the address? Did you change the address? Did you change the address?" Like, for hell's sakes. Yes, I did.
She was the DoorDash bitch all weekend. We had to make sure.
It's because I have Dash Pass, so you don't have to pay extra delivery because we use DoorDash at home.
Couldn't be having our coffee go to the wrong place, right? And then
also, look at this.
Yes. But then on Saturday, we got
merch
to meet
t-shirt.
up. Yes, it is a merch t-shirt.
Yeah.
Very exciting. On Saturday, we had our meetup when we got to meet Melissa and Victoria. And it was awesome. We had a ton of fun.
And Gracie.
Gracie. We had coffee. We went shopping at World Market. It was great. Yeah.
It was so much fun. We're going to keep doing those. We're going to try to give you more notice when we're going to be in town because we know this one was really short notice. But yes, that was super fun. And Melissa brought us the most delicious cookies. Holy crap. Melissa, post a link in the chat. Post something. Tell it, or your Insta handles. Tell us something about how to get to you and your bakery because holy hell, your cookies are good.
So good. I hoarded my gingerbreads so that I could eat them with my morning coffee. Oh
Oh,
my God.
they
So
were
good.
my favorite ones.
But she
So
also
good.
provided a huge box of cookies for our cousin's book event that we were talking about.
Yes.
And she called me
So
yesterday
sweet.
and said, please make sure that Melissa knows that every single one of those cookies was eaten and people were thrilled about them. So she will be in touch with you as well, Melissa, for their next event. But they were so
Oh
good.
yeah.
So, yep, she just rocks. That's all.
Yeah, it was super fun.
Yeah. So, all good things.
Hmm.
But whilst all of that was going on for us, the Maricopa County Sheriff's Department said, you know what we should do? We should move a bitch out. And we should make a
Yeah.
video so that everybody knows that this is the last time ever on the planet of Earth that Lori F. Noreen Vallow Daybell will ever be in Arizona. So they made a proof video.
They did. Boy.
See, they're like, come on, stupid, let's go.
There she is with a big dumb grin on her face already.
She's just so excited to be surrounded by so many men.
Yeah.
It's super long. We won't watch it. They really did keep the good records. Oh, see, here she is. Look, she's so happy.
Yay, I'm going to Idaho to spend the rest of my life in prison. It's like I'm going to Disneyland.
Yep, look at that grin. The best thing that ever happened to her. And the sheriff's department is also smiling just like that because they cannot wait to drop her off.
Right?
Whilst they turn her over to the authorities in Idaho, their next step will be a steak dinner just to celebrate being done with her. Oh, look, she had to get a little speaks in there. Yeah.
Oh, of course. Well, that guy had to do up her seatbelt for her, and she really liked that.
Love that, man. You betcha. Right? She acts like she thinks this is funny. She is so gross. So
Yeah.
here they go. And then they even provided us some proof of the cars. They get clear to the highway. They're like, see, here we go. We really mean it. She's leaving. Yes, Arizona, you don't have to put up with her any longer. So they are headed to Idaho. And they might even be at Idaho now, actually, from what I read from Justin Long.
I think so, yes, because they flew her this time instead of driving her like they did with her.
Yep, there's the leg shuffle. No, the result of the motion will be video.
Yes, the restitution video or video. Yep.
And they're just so glad for her to be gone. So Idaho still shows her as not there because they only update at 4 a.m. every morning. So tomorrow I can show you a screenshot of her cozy checked right back into the prison.
She should probably have a new mugshot with a big dumb look on her face again.
She will. Yep, new mugshot, new everything. Yep. So, hi, Lori.
I mean, I'm happy for Arizona, but we have to get her back. So
yeah. Ugh. So we're going to finish up Rossi today. So you probably have already heard that they did get a guilty verdict, but there were still some things that we wanted to see, including, my God, you guys, do you remember how her mom testified, the victim?
Yeah.
And do you remember how part of the conversation, now I should catch you up in case you don't know what I'm talking about. This was the rape trial of Nicholas Alahverdian Rossi, Jingleheimer Schmidt in Utah. And Nick, the victims had said that he raped her. This was clear back in 2008. And she went home and told her parents she had been raped. Her dad said something cruel and insulting to her, and that just completely shut her down. She never contacted the police, didn't do anything, right? That's what she told the police. That is what her mother told the police. Yes. And I said the state never called her dad, so I wonder if he's not around anymore. Meaning I thought maybe he was, gone,
deceased
dead
or something.
No, worse. He was being called by the defense. So let's take a quick look at that first.
Did ever tell you that she had been raped by Nick?
No.
Didn't ask and answered.
Overruled.
You go ahead and answer the question.
No.
Counselor, are you going to be calling any other witnesses?
No, Judge, defense would rest. I've advised my client about his right to testify. I believe that he's going to take my advice, not testify.
This bitch
Holy shit.
got on the stand and testified against his rape victim daughter. That's what happened.
What a piece of shit. Sandy needs held. She's so upset. She can't even believe it. She's like, I better have some snuggles right now.
And that was not all of it. He also talked about basically that she always thinks someone is wronging her, that they are completely estranged, though that has nothing to do with Alahverdian, but she's always kind of just looking for a reason to be mad or hurt, and yeah, got on the stand and defamed his daughter for the defense.
What a disgusting piece of shit.
Well, babe, you're estranged forever now. I will promise you that. Yep.
Also, everyone who knows you knows what a piece of shit you are.
Mm-hmm.
That you would not help her when it happened.
Yep.
And then would testify for the defense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you? Holy shit.
You got to be kidding me. So that happened. So we're going to watch a bit of the closings. The closings, well, first we're going to watch, we're going to listen. We'll have to listen to this part, but we're going to listen to a prosecutor on the stand who started this. She's the one who started prosecuting Nick and then left to a different job. So she's on the stand in this video, and they're listening to the judge try to figure out who the hell this person is. So the sound isn't great, but if you listen closely, you can hear him talking in that old English. He calls the judge "milady" and "majudgeship," I think, something like that.
The hell?
But this is right after he gets extradited, and he's still refusing to acknowledge who he is. Which, the state did that because they wanted everyone to hear, they wanted the jury to hear how deceitful this person is. What a big liar he was. So we're going to start there.
Number 36, State versus Rossi. 6768. Are you Mr. Rossi? Are you Mr. Rossi? Is that a yes? I'm having a hard time. Restate what he said. Having a really hard time hearing him.
My name is Alton. My name is Arthur Knight.
I can't hear. You want to have him state his name and date of birth?
Yeah, we can't hear him at all. Can you ask him, can you please state your name and date of birth?
Get a little closer. My name is Arthur Knight Gray. My date of birth is 22nd of the 11th, 1996.
Okay,
I think we're having a problem with understanding who this person is.
This is not number 36.
Your Honor, we've gone with Nicholas Rossi, but he's in his name as Arthur Knight.
That's one of the AKAs, it looks like. We're having a really is it July 11th, 1987?
No, lady, it's 22nd of November, 1986.
You're on the 2nd of November, 1986.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, Tamara Vasquez for the state. This individual has been extradited, and he has not admitted his name or birth date accurately, and so I don't think we're going to be successful on that today either. It's also known as.
Objection, my lady. Objection, my lady. That is complete hearsay, and I would ask your ladyship that the prosecution chair calls for why
Were you able to hear that audio okay over the speakers?
Yes.
Okay. So at that hearing, well, let me ask this first. Do you see today in the courtroom the person who that day was saying that that we heard speaking on the video?
Yes.
Could you tell us where is he sitting? Something that he's wearing?
Yes, he's sitting over there, and he's got black glasses, a black suit, and a multicolored tie, but it's a dark tie, white shirt with a beard.
May the record reflect that she's identified the defendant?
Record will so reflect.
And so just help us a little bit with the audio. What was he saying his name was?
He was saying his name was Arthur Knight, and I believe Brown.
Did you hear the judge ask him whether his date of birth was July 11th of 1987?
Yes, I did hear that.
And how did he respond to that?
Well, initially she asked what his name was and date of birth. The first time he stated Arthur Knight Brown, and then he said the 22nd day of the 11th of 1986. Then she did ask him what his name was, and she actually gave a different date of birth, the July 11th, 1980. I can't remember, 7, and he said that was not his date of birth.
Okay. How would you characterize the accent he was speaking with that day?
Objection, speculation, relevance.
There was it was kind of an attempt at a British accent dialect. The words to my lady, my ladyship. Again, the reference towards as I think I already kind of did it, but it was the 22nd of the 11th of, so it was an attempt at what it seemed like a British dialect to me.
So at the hearing on March 8th of 2024, was he still speaking in a similar accent?
Yes.
And did he make any requests of the judge that day?
Yes, there was a request made that he be referred to Mr. Knight.
Did you attend any other hearings on that case, on this case, before you changed jobs?
No.
Okay. I have just a moment.
Sure.
Please be seated.
Okay.
Oh, that was fantastic.
Everything about it that is funny, including the prosecutor trying to fake his accent.
Yes. And my lady.
God. What a fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
So we're going to listen to a portion of the closings. The prosecution was really long. The prosecution was long. The defense was like 40 minutes. So I whittled it down to a handful of things that I thought you'd be interested in hearing. You will not believe this, but we're back to that same stupid thrift store analogy. Those two need to get some new material because this is insane.
Good Lord.
I know.
Yeah.
Openings and closings, a lot of times they'll tie things together like that, but it fell so flat the first time and they actually just ran right back into the net. But
Wow.
Here we are. It'll be what you expect. And then we're just going to listen to the rebuttal of the state. I thought they did a great job tying it all together. And then we'll probably stop after the defense and talk about that, and then we'll get to the state. That lady was the first prosecutor that was on Nick's case, and then she ended up leaving and taking a different job. So she was involved with the extradition and with that first insane hearing we just listened to. And then she moved to a different job, and so she has been off of it since. But they were establishing for the jury what a lying liar that dude is.
Mm-hmm. Well, and part of the reason it was so hard to hear him is because he was like saying one word and then going.
Mm-hmm. He had a whole face mask oxygen thing on, and he was doing this.
Yeah. This
stuff.
weird fake breathing thing. Yeah.
And then obviously the judge was a bit hard of hearing herself. And so the communication there was just, it was real rough. Plus, she didn't realize that, she had a crazy person in her courtroom.
Yeah.
So,
And then she's like, oh, one of the AKAs. Okay, now I get it.
yeah. Thank you, Erin. Yeah. So, get ready. Get your punching pillows if you have one. You will not like this, but it
Guess
needs
what?
to be heard.
Guess what I have?
In
It's
your
a punching
possession.
pillow, guys. I have a very real, very legitimate punching pillow. It's actually huge. It was a lot bigger than I expected it to be. Punching pillow. So,
Here we
getting
go.
ready.
Just Dugan whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Judge. I went to thrift stores a lot as a kid. My family didn't have a ton of money growing up, so we were shopping at thrift stores like way before it was trending on TikTok. And mostly what I was buying at thrift stores was clothes, but every now and then we'd get the occasional game. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I ever bought a puzzle from a thrift store because I haven't. And you can insert whatever joke you want about a defense attorney being bad at lying, but I'm not going to do that to you today. But I remember I got this game called Mousetrap at the thrift store. And I don't know if you all are familiar with that game at all, but it's like a board game and it's set up in this sort of intricate way, and there's like a bathtub and a boot that like kicks a little silver ball through all of this contraption essentially as part of this game. I love that game. It was so fun because really what I would do is just like set it up and play with it. To this day though, I don't know how to play the game because it didn't come with all of the parts because it was at a thrift store and it was like $1.50. And so I like to set it up, but I like to like run it through everything. But I don't actually know what the real parts are as part of that game. And I tell you that because as a kid, it's all well and good to play a game that doesn't have all of the parts because it's fun, it's just whatever. But you know what's not okay to have missing parts from? A criminal case where my client is charged with rape. And there are a lot who she probably perceived would have been LDS, right? And so I want to hit pause actually and talk a little bit more about the relationship because there's not really much to talk about. Because it is such a quick whirlwind romance where they meet online, they meet a week later, he meets her parents, they get engaged, and then they break up in the span of like a month. And that really is, that sort of behavior, I want you to think about the kind of person and the judgment of somebody who does that. So,
Do you mean Nick?
Whoa.
Do you mean Nick? Or
Are we talking about Nick here?
or the kind of person?
Yeah. Wow. Victim blaming yet again.
Troubling. Okay.
Not cool.
Also, I want to make one point real quick. And this is in completely my opinion, okay? Obviously, the victim has a really troubled, problematic relationship with her father.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to guess that mom did too.
Right.
If that girl didn't grow up in domestic violence, I would be super surprised. And again, I don't know that she did. I'm not saying she did. But some pieces fit together for me when I saw him and what he did. And then you start hearing the stuff that this woman here is saying about her behavior, thinking about if this girl grew up in domestic violence, and we know she grew up in a patriarchal society. Let's keep going.
for example, there's a show called 90 Day Fiancé, right? I have seen like one episode of it, but my understanding is it's this reality TV show, and at some point somebody is like flown to the United States and they had like chatted a little bit online prior to that, but they have a dating range of 90 days. And then at the end, I think they decide either to get married or not get married. And the details of that really don't matter, but I just shared that with you because, like, a lot of people watch the show. And they watch the show because of the bizarre factor of it. I mean, a lot of us watch reality TV because we like to see the insane things that people do, right? And 90 Day Fiancé is no different.
That was a terrible camera angle. Oh my God.
I find that so odd. To find that so
Still.
irreconcilable with the understanding of how you pick a partner for life, and not just for life here, like for time and eternity. For us to find a partner
For time and eternity.
Yeah.
That is a phrase that's frequently used in the LDS Church when people
Mormon
get
dog
married.
whistle. Yep.
Yep, to be married for time and all eternity. That's a very common phrase. She used it with the jury, talking about a rape victim.
Yeah. Disgusting. Also, that camera person, what the fuck?
Right, Bethy? That's Kohlberger's camera person, right? Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right.
partner, that is bizarre behavior. It's very odd. So I want to take a step back and talk a little bit more about the actual event, okay? So testified that their relationship really was fine. She liked him, she found him charming. But then, like one day at the gateway, everything changes. And he is screaming at her, he is aggressive with her, he is...
Why did she laugh about that?
Yeah.
Why'd she laugh
Why
right
did
there?
she? Well, and she's completely minimizing all of the things that led up to this.
Mm-hmm. Also, she has the same smirk as the attorney that did the opening. This is a different person, in case you were thinking it's the same. It's not. They both have the same kind of hair, really curly hair like this, and they both have the same smirk on their face. It's very weird.
Yeah,
but
that is weird.
We'll keep going.
in public, and she finally decides, like, I have had it, I'm done. She takes her ring out, she goes in her bag, she storms back to her car. Totally fine, right? I mean, if you're really in that sort of fight with your partner, you absolutely get to walk away, for sure. But then she gets in her car, locks it, and he's apparently, like, making a huge scene, banging on it, kicking, screaming, and she doesn't try to leave, and perhaps she's a nicer person than I am. But, like, she had an opportunity to leave, it's her car, she didn't. She then lets him into her car, and he apparently continues to just scream at her and get in her face, and there's some drive in between the gateway to going back to Blair Street. And then they apparently sit at Blair Street for an hour in the cold, in December. The car's off, and she sits there and just like allows him to apparently scream at her in this way.
Again, was this girl raised in domestic violence? Because I really, really wonder.
For sure. Also, did any of that mean it was okay to rape her? Fuck no.
And also, she was 2 months out of a TBI.
Yeah.
She probably did not know what to do.
Yeah.
We'll keep going.
Yeah, but she's leaving all of those things out.
After all of that, she then goes into his house. She goes into his bedroom, and she's wanting to discuss, I guess at this point, breaking up. And here's my problem with this, is the state sort of characterized Nick as he is the one convincing her to do these things. And you heard me testify earlier that she had been controlled by men her whole life. And this is my problem, is that has zero agency in this narrative that the state has crafted for you.
Agency?
That she was forced into doing all of these things that she didn't want to do, that she was forced into buying these rings, that she was forced into putting him in her car, that she was forced into continuing on in a relationship that she didn't want to be in, and that he forced her to come into the house and into the bedroom, and then he forced himself to have sex with her. But he does have agency in this situation. And I'm not trying to do the, well, she didn't say no, because it's actually a lot more complicated and nuanced than that.
No, it isn't.
It isn't complicated or nuanced at all.
No. No means no. Also, agency is a Mormon dog whistle. She is signaling disgustingly to the jury. Jesus.
Yep. They are public defenders, in case you're wondering. Yeah.
Because he was a willing participant in their relationship from day one. And so this idea of reducing the defense's argument to, oh, it's just a woman's scorn, you know how women are, like that's certainly not what we're arguing, okay?
Except for that's exactly what they were arguing.
Yeah, it is.
That's what they said in the opening.
It is
That
exactly what they said in the opening.
she was just mad because she had to pay for those engagement rings and that he owed her money that he stepped out on. And so she just decided that she was going to get back at him. That's exactly what they said in the opening.
So, like I said, if you are unsatisfied with the testimony, if you have serious questions about memory, about her motivation, about how she even ends up at Blair Street, hold the state to their verdict. That is their job. The government is going to take your liberty away to charge you with a crime. They need to come correct. And they didn't do that in this case. So it's not, maybe something happened, or like probably something's weird, but I don't quite know what it is. No, that is not enough. It is, you need to be standing in your power and saying, yes, 100%, not no percentages, but that yes, I am firmly convinced that this went down the way that they said it did. And if you have doubts that are real, that make sense in light of your common human experience, again, that's on the state. So now you all have the unenviable task of going back into a room without windows and getting lunch and deliberating amongst yourself about whether or not you believe my client is innocent or guilty of what the state is saying that he did. And so while you're in the jury room, I urge you to stay strong in your beliefs, to have an open conversation with one another, and to think critically about what the state has presented to you.
Now, hold on. Strong in your beliefs. I'm surprised they didn't object to that.
Right. There wasn't a single
This is not about beliefs at all. This is about evidence. This is about facts presented. This isn't about beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
But she's bringing beliefs in. Holy shit.
Right. And
wow.
left. Her name is Samantha Dugan, you guys in the chat that were asking.
She's fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the big pieces, the facts of consequence, the things that matter in this case, they're not here. And I'm confident that when you come back in here, you will be delivering a verdict of not guilty. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dugan.
Joke's on you, Miss Dugan. All right. So that was the closing. Again, in a nutshell, it was about 40 minutes long, so I brought you a little bit of it. I agree, Joelle. This kind of a defense and having the father testify backfired. Yep.
Right?
I don't
How
think the jury
disgusting.
appreciated any of that. Yeah.
Why would you bring the father in? Like, how in the world? He wasn't
And I just
believable.
told you guys a tiny clip, but he was an ass. He was awful.
Yeah.
And again, just very willing to defame the victim, which, holy wow.
Yeah. It turns out blaming the victim, no, not going to happen.
Yeah. I think she said
it's a room without windows.
Yeah. Ashley heard without Legos. I mean, that sounds bad too. Yeah.
It does. Mm-hmm.
All right. So we'll listen to the full rebuttal.
You heard what Nicholas Rossi did to her. You saw how, you heard from her how she felt. You saw how she felt as she told you about that. You heard that once she told him that the relationship was over, then he raped her. There's been discussion about us taking away the agency by, I guess, saying that he was controlling of her. She had agency. She chose to date him. She chose to get engaged to him very quickly. Now, he was being manipulative, he was being controlling, that was his idea. She could choose. The one thing she did not get to choose is when she did exercise her agency, when she said, this relationship is over, I am done. And he said, no, 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 pounding on the car, he will not leave. She has to apparently run him over to get away. I guess we're supposed to hit people with cars now. Like if they won't walk away, that doesn't make any sense. We don't, since she wasn't prepared to, like, I guess, murder a man that day, or like at least severely injure a man that day, after having been in her own accident and knowing what that's like, when she wasn't prepared to do that, she exercised her agency to figure that maybe giving him a ride home would be okay. That wasn't good enough for him. He continued to reject her agency. He wouldn't get out of the car. He wouldn't leave. He berated her. She wasn't in the conversation. I'm even going to push back a little bit on how Mr. Heiner characterized it during the first part of our closing, that it was an argument. It sounds very one-sided. She's staring at a tree. She remembers that tree because she was just staring at a tree. He wouldn't stop. He's not honoring her agency. Finally, she gives up. Okay, we'll go in. He calms down. She's trusting. That's how she got here this fast, right? That's how she ended up engaged and, like, in a car again with this man so fast. That's how she ended up back here. I caution you about judging, requiring other people to act exactly how you would act in a particular situation. I also ask you to...
I absolutely love that he said that way.
Yes. Yes.
Because
Very important.
just because Ms. Dugan wouldn't allow these things to happen to herself, or thinks she wouldn't, that's not at all the mindset the victim was in. We know that. Not at all. So, carry on, but I love that he said that.
Consider if she acted differently if she acted differently than I would have acted. Sometimes I've done things that I wouldn't expect. I don't think she feels good about her choices that day. She wasn't here to say, like, no, it was a really good idea to let him into my car. I'm really pleased with that decision. It was a bad decision. But when they got to her house, his house, when she finally got to his house, he wouldn't get out. The only way he's going to get out is if she goes in, fine, he's calm, he's charming again, fine, she'll go inside. She reiterates again, she's exercising her agency. She's saying, I'm done with this relationship. Like, I'm here to talk to you, but we're still done. Then, he absolutely takes away her agency. He shuts the door, suddenly pushes her down onto the bed. He holds her down, restrains both of her arms, and this is not romantic, this is not her mistaking things. There's no kissing, there's no, hey, take off your clothes, or he pulls down exactly the amount of pants that he needs to pull down to rape her. He rapes her, and I guess, and again, it sounds like there's a belief that once someone is raped, she has to, like, break through a window, go screaming, maybe hit him with her car now after it happened. I'm not sure. Never talked to him. She never saw him again. She's scared of him. Why did she never see him again? She's scared of him. She told you that. She never saw him again because she's scared with him. She continued to, she changed her number because she didn't want him to call her again. Now, when he continued to chip away at that, she did choose to respond. Again, we act differently when someone won't stop. We try different things to get them to stop, but when someone won't stop, sometimes we give them an inch, hoping that this will work out. Maybe if I respond, I can say, like, hey, no, really, we're done. Maybe they'll stop. He won't stop. Finally, she changes her number a second time. The emails keep coming. And the email, who knows how long the emails keep going, but finally what it ends is she just stops. She finally has a number he doesn't know, and she just tells Gmail to transfer all of his emails to her inbox. He never stops. He never honors her agency. Finally, she just kind of stops hearing from him, and it winds down. Now, We're not playing a game. Mousetrap. I played Mousetrap. I also had a game of Mousetrap with missing pieces. Also never understood it. I agree. It's complicated. We're not playing Mousetrap. Mousetrap is a board game that is designed to be as complicated as possible. It's a Rube Goldberg series game, if you remember Rube Goldberg devices, where you were designed to catch the mouse in the most complicated way possible. We're here about truth. What is true? How do you know what's true? We listen to people. We pay attention to our common sense. We pay attention to how they tell us things. We pay attention to what they tell us, and we decide. We don't have to go looking for little pieces when there have been pieces provided. Now that bridge that you saw in the first closing, some might describe that bridge as overbuilt, right? Like, if you saw that bridge in real life, you might wonder why did the government choose the highest bidder to build that bridge? Why is it a bridge that goes from one side to the other, and it's a suspension bridge, and it's got all those pillars? Like, that's a bit much for a bridge. But that's here because we're here about beyond a reasonable doubt. And when it's beyond a reasonable doubt, we provide you with all of those pieces. Would you walk across the bridge? Have you ever walked across a bridge that was just just built from one side to the other, just fully on both sides? Sure, like maybe hiking or something. Would you walk across a suspension bridge? Okay.
Can't you just smell Nick from here? Can't you?
Yes.
He is
Yeah.
so gross.
Gross. That beard. Oof, no.
And his hair always is greasy, and he's disgusting. Not us all.
Yeah.
What about a suspension bridge with a lot of pillars? There is a lot there. You don't need all of that, but that is everything that you have to decide this case. If we have a puzzle, first off, I'm going to submit to you that this is a 4-piece puzzle. There are 4 elements that the state has to prove. Check your elements. The elements of the crime are Nicholas Rossi had sexual intercourse without her consent, and he was at least reckless about whether she consented. He was at least not really he was at the very least took a serious risk, and you can read your definition of reckless. He at very least took an unreasonable risk that right after she broke up with him, she maybe didn't want to have sex without him at least talking to her about it first. Those are your elements. Blair Street is not one of your elements. Blair Street's not in there. The state doesn't have to prove Blair Street beyond a reasonable doubt. Blair Street is provided to give you the context, to help you know, to give you the details, to connect him there. Now, and to be clear, the police can't put Mr. Rossi at Blair Street until January 21st of 2009, because that's when he had some sort of verbal dispute with his roommate, but puts him on Blair Street in 2009. Now, so the question about
What they're talking about is there was some argument about what apartment he was living in when the rape happened. And she said it was the Blair Street apartment. They show a lease that shows that he didn't move into the Blair Street apartment until after this. But there was some back and forth about whether he had already moved in before he signed the lease or whatever. But basically the state's saying it's pretty irrelevant to, to the whole narrative. But that's what he's talking about there.
Blair Street. Is this maybe the apartment in Provo? No, it's not the apartment in Provo. It's the house where his room is just inside when you go in the front door, as confirmed in the photos. And she says it's a 5 to 10 minute drive from. It's a 5 to 10 minute drive. Maybe she might have even said 10 to 20, but you're not getting to Orem in 10, 15 minutes from the Gateway Mall. Gateway Mall to, she said South Salt Lake. Regardless, we're not proving Blair Street beyond a reasonable doubt, even though she does put him in that house. She does recognize that house. She didn't say it's a brick house. She said, I think bricks. I don't know. Bricks inside or outside? And there are rocks outside, right? She wasn't focused on that. When she was with him, she was focused on hanging out with him, being in his room a couple of times. When he raped her, she was focused on the tree where she was staring where he would not get out of her car, while he did not respect her agency. She then was not on her way out of the house after he raped her and pulls her pants up at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night heading home. She's not saying oh, hey, I should probably check out this house and mentally sketch what it looks like. That's not what people do. That's not how memory works. Now, the other question's about what people do. Ken Roach talked to you about that. What do people do? People react differently. Different people react differently. This is not a TV show where everybody has to be from central casting every single time. This is not a TV show where people are going to deliver the same line you've heard in every other episode. This is real life, where different people react differently, where different families react differently. Not every family handles things like like Mike and Carol Brady. Different families handle things different ways. And you heard Tammy's testimony. She did care. She tried to go talk about it, but she had also just heard what her husband said, or at least what perceived him to have said, whether he intended it that way or not, whether he heard everything or not. They were reacting to that. She tried. It sounded like she kind of understood, like shut down at that point. Now, I guess I'll just mention it just briefly. I know you don't want me to spend a lot of time on the eviction, but just briefly. The eviction, a couple of things to notice about the eviction, and notice about that, I think it's Defense Exhibit 1. So you notice that by the end of that action, people owed, so the question of like, how did he have money to pay for rent on Blair Street if he then subsequently got evicted? Well, you'll notice on that document that there's $5,000 owing in that action. Nobody's paying rent. And they've got people listed on there who don't even live there. 3 people live there. I don't remember the third guy's name, but Eric and Nick and the other guy, I think there's like 4, 5, 6 people listed there. So I don't know if it's a sublet. I don't know if these are people that moved in after Nick left. Regardless, they owed $4,000. So Nick's not paying rent at the Pinnacle Apartments. How did he pay for Blair Street if he doesn't have a job, never has money? He made her go to the ATM and take out $1,000. And right after that, he moved into a new place. It was part of the money manipulation that we're talking about, part of him taking her money. She told you, he took her to an ATM, he needed $1,000. She doesn't know, she's not able to tell you. But as far as like, how could he possibly? Well, $1,000 will pay a deposit, maybe a first month's rent. Also, this is 2008, I'm not saying it will today, but used to be able to get an apartment for $1,000. Or a room in a guy's house. So also just the idea that all of the evidence was provided by your Detective Coates' testimony. We didn't go into a lot of detail, but he found Nicholas Rossi in another country under a different name. And sure, provided some things, and that's how memory works. Like we might say like, oh, winter time, I remember looking at a tree, I remember it was very cold in the car, maybe January. And we look at our phone records and we say, okay, well, no, I changed my number after the rape, and so it must have been before this date, and well, I certainly didn't sue him while we were still engaged. It must have been December. Who puts him at Blair Street? She puts him at Blair. So, sometimes people do lie. I agree with that. That's true. Sometimes people do lie. But you actually have an instruction that talks to you about things to consider. And one of the things that it tells you to consider is people have a motive to lie. So you do ask yourself, your instructions tell you one of the things to consider in deciding who to believe is, does the person have a motive to lie? Does the person have a reason 15 years later to go through this process, to relive this, to go through the emotions of this experience again? If it was like breakup sex, there's nothing to suggest it's breakup sex. Her testimony is evidence. Evidence is testimony, evidence is documents. Her testimony is evidence. And she testified about what happened. Now, people do sometimes lie. And when Mr. Rossi was extradited, appeared in Utah for this case, He knows he's there on charges. That's what happens when you come to court. Find out what your charges are about when you get extradited, when you come to court for the first time. Sometimes people do lie. He lied. And this isn't just his new name. Sometimes people do change their names. That's valid. That's why we refer to him as Mr. Alahverdian. People can change their names. He was going by the name of Arthur Knight, and when the judge asked him, he pretended not to know who Nicholas Rossi was. I'm not, and when Detective Coates talked to him, like, is it Rosie or Rossi? He pretended not to know. He knew. He knew because that was him. He pretended not to know because he was facing these charges, and he told first the judge, female judge whose name starts with an A, that Miss Vasquez couldn't remember her last name, and then Judge Lawrence, and he was going by Nicholas Rossi. And with that first judge, he said, I am Arthur Knight, and his date of birth. He gave a different date of birth. You can change your name, sure. You can't change your date of birth. That is not how that worked. You don't change your date of birth. You don't forget your date of birth. You don't put it in a different order. You don't say that. So I check your memories. This is just off the top of my head. Nicholas Rossi date of birth, Detective Coates testified, is July 11th of 1987, and that is the date of birth that the judge gives. He says the 11th of 22nd of 86. Wrong month, wrong day, wrong year. You don't change your date of birth. You do get to consider that. You do get to consider, why is he lying to the judge about who he is? Why is he pretending to be Arthur Knight? Sometimes people do lie. And you get to consider their motivation for telling that lie. So, one of the things, and you do have to consider who to believe. One of the things that your instruction tells you, how believable was a witness's testimony in light of human experience? And Mr. Heiner touched on this, but if I was going to make this up, she would have had her details locked in, and she would have made it up better. Why not say he was also physically abusive during their relationship? Because he wasn't. He just wasn't. Why not say she fought back during the rape? Why not make it sound like a TV show? Why not make it sound like something that would convince a police detective? Because it didn't happen that way. She didn't fight back. She broke up. She told him she broke up, and he held her down and raped her. Why not say that he injured her, and over the ensuing years her injury healed? Because that didn't happen. She just told you what happened. Why not say she was forced into the house? Why not say he forced his way into the car that she might not even have anymore? Why not? Because it didn't happen. She told you what happened. And then just briefly, I want to mention why the purpose for which you're considering testimony. Here's what here's what it is. If it's even slightly more likely, so defense talked about the different burdens of proof. The different burdens of proof, so you need to apply a preponderance of the evidence of a more likely than not standard for Kristine's testimony. So here's what it is. If it's even slightly more likely that Rossi held Kristine down and raped her while she cried, and then she reported it the next day, if that is slightly more likely than his claim that he was scared of sex and that she raped him 6 to 8 times, but he didn't mention the 6 to 8 rapes during a long interview with a detective about sexual assault in that relationship, if even slightly more likely, which it is, then you consider the similarities between what he did to and what he did in determining whether he made it up without knowing any details about consider the similarities. And I won't rehash those. Mr. Heiner went over those. I suppose I will push back on the defense argument that those are all pretty normal things. They're not. There's a lot of things there that are just not a part of every sexual encounter. There are very specific things there. Sure, some things are going to be more common, but at the same time, Dr. Roach said, people describe different things. People react different ways. Your role as jurors is to focus on the elements. Has the state proven it beyond a reasonable doubt? Now, Ms. Dugan took it back immediately, but I just want to reiterate it again. Beyond reasonable doubt is not 100%. Your jury instruction specifically says that we are not required to determine with absolute certainty. 100% would be absolute certainty. You are not required to determine this with absolute certainty. Your instruction tells you so. Please read the beyond a reasonable doubt instruction. It tells you what it is. And it is, are you firmly convinced? Are you firmly convinced, based on testimony, based on the evidence, based on the similarities that you're considering, and based on your common sense, are you firmly convinced that was raped? Now, look at the elements, look at the consent instruction. There is nothing about anything that happened that suggests any consent here. By all views, this is consensual. And so what you're looking at is, were there things that supported, and there were. And you've heard about those, and I won't reiterate them again, but please consider all of that, and consider the fact that Nicholas Alahverdian pretended to be Arthur Knight with a British accent and a fake date of birth. Consider all of that, and we ask you to find the defendant guilty of rape. Thank you.
I thought he did a great job.
Yeah, he did.
I like the way he tied it all together. I like the rebuttal a lot. The initial closing was actually by one of the other prosecutors, and it was good too, but it's just too much it's so much to show. So
Sure.
I decided to show his part, but I thought he did a good job just kind of tying it all together and punching some holes in some of the dumb things that the state said, or that the defense said, and also just normalizing this, normalizing what she did or didn't do, what her response was or wasn't. I thought he did a good job. So at that point, the jury went out and deliberated for a few hours, and then this happened.
All right, the jury. Be seated. All right, for the record, the jury is now in the courtroom and the parties are present with counsel. Will the foreperson you have selected please stand? Have you reached a verdict in this case?
Yes, we have, Your Honor.
Would you please hand the verdict form to the bailiff? The bailiff will hand it to me and I will hand it to my clerk to read.
In the state of Utah versus Nicholas Edward Rossi, case number 221-906-768, we, the jurors in the above case, unanimously find the defendant as follows: to count 1, rape, guilty, dated this 13th day of August 2025, signed the foreperson.
Is this your verdict?
This is our verdict.
Counsel, is there anything further on this case before the jury is discharged?
Can we have the jury polled, please?
We can. I would like each member of the jury, the verdict form in front of you states guilty. Raise your hand if that was your verdict. The court notes that all 8 members of the jury unanimously found guilty. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this trial is now finished.
Boom.
And that's that. Bye, Stinky.
Bye, bitch. Bye.
Yep.
Till your next trial.
Yep, second trial coming up in September. It's supposed to be just as brief, and they have DNA
with
in
even
that
more
one.
evidence. Yeah.
But the other trial, and we'll talk about this more when we get there, but she did get a rape kit. She did go to the police. They did interview him. Isn't it sad that they didn't charge him then, going back in 2008?
Yeah.
It
happened before this one.
It happened before this one. Yep. This victim may not have ever even met Nick. The lady that he raped in London would have never likely met Nick. And who knows who else, because there's more victims out there. Yep. Sad.
Yeah.
Really sad.
It is.
That it took clear until 2021 or 2020 when the rape kit just happened to get processed and they went, oh, yeah, it is him. Don't you know?
Yeah.
backlogs of rape kits should be illegal.
Yes, they should.
Because these are the monsters that get to stay on the streets. Awful. Yep. All right, but guilty verdict, we'll take it. So we'll watch for the next one. I think the next one will be such a quick slam dunk, it's not even funny. But I'm going to kick it over to you for some Utah is not okay.
Well, if you wonder why those police did not believe her, the other victim, and didn't do anything when that rape occurred, I'm going to give you a pretty good reason for that. And I'm going to give all of this with a caveat. I don't know who the victim is in this case or who the offender is. There is a prosecutor in this video. I do not know his name. It is reported that he is a prosecutor for the Utah Attorney General's office. Mm-hmm. What I am using is something that's been posted on social media. I have protected the person who posted it by not sharing the actual video itself because this is just barely coming out. But it is very important for us to hear because this is the attitude being trained into prosecutors and police in the state of Utah, as stated by this prosecutor in this video. So with all of that, let's just watch it. But I will tell you to get out your punching pillow because you're going to need it.
Mm-hmm.
Which was highly sexual. And putting it into the context of that, it is something where consent becomes very difficult to prove. And we do have experts that speak on this. But there is a thing called seduction, and seduction is not a crime. Seduction starts with a premise of one person who may be less interested in sexual activity than the other person. And the other person who's more interested in sexual activity tries to convince their partner, who they are having an ongoing consensual relationship with, to want to be sexual. Despite the fact, we train, and we go around and do training on consent all the time. It's part of what I do. And I joke sometimes, and I said, we're going to talk about consent. Consent's very difficult. How many people in here are married? Half the room raise their hand. How many people in here have been married for more than 5 years? Everybody raise their hand. Okay, you get a few people. Okay, of those people that just raised their hand, how many people in that room have ever begged your spouse to have sex and they said they didn't want to? Every single one of them raised.
That's coercion. Sorry, keep going.
Okay, but that's what I'm trying to tell you. That may be coercion. It may not be. That may very well be part of what is an otherwise normal, healthy sexual relationship, where one partner or spouse is less interested or completely disinterested. Honey?
So you are right in terms of we are not going to proceed with the criminal prosecution in this case.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important to know from the outset that it has nothing to do with
I'd just like to know the justification for the denial.
The justifications. We don't believe that ethically we have the facts sufficient to prove all the elements of a rape case. That's the justification.
So how many admissions do you need?
Well, I'm not so sure that in the context of the relationship that you had and the facts of this case in total, that is an admission. I think we see that differently in terms of what we're able to prove and not able to prove. There's essentially 4 elements of a rape case. And you are correct, that's the law as you've read it. And as these guys can tell you, and Heidi's been doing this a long time, there's essentially 4 elements we have to prove, okay? You have to prove the identity of the perpetrator, that somebody, a real person, did something.
Check.
There has to be a sexual act, and in this case, a rape case is defined as penetration of the penis with the vagina, however slight.
Check.
Then you have to have lack of consent.
Check.
And then you have to have that the suspect knew or should have known that there was lack of consent.
Check, I told him.
And I think
doesn't saying the word no count as lack of consent?
It does, but the problem is contextually it's not that simple.
Yep.
Yes, you are hearing this correctly. That is The reason for the punching pillow. Let me tell you what I do know about this case. First of all, this is that guy. This is a screenshot from the video. This is Katie gave it an AI enhancement. Anyone from Utah, if you know who this man is, please tell us his name. I spent most of my day trying to figure out who this guy is, and I don't know. There are some possibilities, but I'm not going to dox anybody. But this I want to show you because this was in one of the videos. This is a text exchange. The blue is the victim. The black is the offender. I won't scream to be heard, and you're not up to the task of caring for me how I need. I said no sex touch and no sex. I need intimacy, but not sex touch, and you pushed your hard dick into my pussy. Unsafe, not listening, and didn't protect me this weekend without me having to scream about it. It was a mistake in a flash and not at all what I was intending. Not denying. Don't you understand? I'm not some random guy. We have been partners through thick and thin, and figuring out a new situation in real time is hard. No. This is a partner rape. They were in a relationship. I think that's a very key issue in what this disgusting prosecutor was having to say. Is that, guys, it's just seduction. If your partner says no and the other person does it anyway, that's not rape. That's seduction, friends.
Yeah.
What a sick, fucked up thing to say.
Yeah.
There's more coming out about this, but I'm trying to be careful because I don't want to dox anyone at this point. But I think that some of the things that we have seen coming out of Utah and our Utah is Not Okay segments are well explained by this guy who says he's the one training people in law enforcement, people in prosecutors to understand what consent is, guys. And basically what he told her is saying no is not always no. And that consent is hard. Consent is hard, guys. It fucking isn't. She said no.
And he did it anyway.
He acknowledged he did it anyway in the text message, and they are refusing to charge this person.
Yep.
There's more to this story. I'm not ready to tell you what else I know yet because I want to get more information first and not give anything that is misinformation. And we may never tell the actual story of what happened because I'm not sure that that's what really matters in this situation.
Right.
What I wanted you to hear is that this man is training our law enforcement and our prosecutors about how to understand what consent is.
Let me tell you a joke about consent. Really?
Yeah.
Because it's not funny.
No, it is not funny. It is disgusting. I feel terrible for this victim who should never, ever be treated like this, by the system. Now, I'll tell you this is a state attorney general prosecutor. That means things have escalated from local police, from local prosecutors. To get to the state, there's an escalation of some sort. So there have already been concerns about this case and the handling of this case, clearly, or it wouldn't have been escalated to where it is. When we figure out who this man is, oh, believe me, I will tell you, because that isn't doxing. He is a public official. He is a state attorney general's office prosecutor. We all have the right to know his name.
Absolutely.
And when we figure it out, you know, what is really fucked up is that the state attorney general's office, they don't even list the names of the prosecutors that work for them, let alone show their faces.
Yep.
Because I'll tell you what, I have done everything I can think of, and so has Katie. And we're normally pretty damn good at coming up with a name.
Yep. But
We
nothing
could
quite
not
fit
find this
today. What we found today, nothing quite fit. Yep.
But hey, any of you, if you know who he is, come into the Discord, go to our email, somewhere, go tell us who this is. I would like to put a face, a name to this face, and to those horrific words.
For sure. Also, in hearing that, it makes me so much even more grateful for the Rossi prosecutors.
Right?
Because they obviously do
Look at
understand consent and did an amazing job.
Look at the glaring difference.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them get it.
Yeah. Thank you, Teresa.
This guy sure as hell doesn't. And many of you were saying he's probably a predator himself, and I would suspect so. The way that he describes this and describes consent, I would imagine that there may be people in his life who feel that he has violated their consent because he genuinely does not know what consent is.
Yeah.
Consent is not hard, and no is no. Always.
Even with your partner.
Even with your partner.
That whole talk about seduction was so gross.
It was disgusting. And the way he said it, like, well, you might not be aware of this, but, oh, fuck you.
Yeah.
When we know this guy's name, trust me, you will know it.
Mm-hmm.
And we will let you know what his CV is and everything that he is doing and has done in public. This is the AI enhanced version of the picture, which I think is probably pretty accurate if you look at this picture versus this one. I think it's pretty likely that that's the guy.
Yep.
So, yeah. Anybody know? Yeah, right. Someone check on his wife.
Mm-hmm. Disgusting.
Yeah. This is definitely, and again, this is Utah, and we like to slam on Mormons, but it's because of this shit that we do.
Yeah.
But that concept of consent within a Mormon marriage is very supportive of the man. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
It is most certainly the woman's job to please their partner, be available at all times, and that if a man strays in a Mormon marriage, the woman will be blamed that she did not make herself available enough to her husband. Have heard it so many times.
Yep.
Yes, I mean, he is very likely a Mormon. I mean, chances are 90% he is.
Or even if he's not, it's the culture.
It's the culture. And you heard it in the Nick Rossi stuff, which just grossed me out so much, talking about agency.
Right. Instead
Mormons
of talking
are
about
taught
her
that we
rights,
have free agency.
we were talking about agency.
Agency, right.
Yeah.
And the whole concept behind agency is huge in Mormonism. Of course you have agency, but you have two choices. You use your agency to do what the church says, or you're a sinner. I mean, there's no actual free agency at all, but using those terms and also telling the jury to stick with their beliefs.
Yeah.
And not the facts of the case was disgusting and should have been addressed. And maybe it was and we just didn't hear it. But that term should never be used. It is not a jury's job to determine a case based on their beliefs. That is not their job.
No, not at all. In fact, their beliefs might stand in the way of the evidence or whatnot, just depending on what we're talking about. That doesn't matter. Yeah.
No. But anyway, wanted to share that with you. Explains a lot, is disgusting and very concerning.
Yeah.
And when we have more information, we will share it with you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're going to be back tomorrow at 3. They are starting jury selection in Adelson tomorrow. I don't know if that's going to be streamed. We're not going to stream it. It's just not a good use of our time, I don't think. But we do want to stream on Adelson's trial. So we're hoping we're going to be able to do that. We're planning on doing that.
Yes.
I don't know when it's going to start. Will it start on Wednesday? Maybe. Will it start on Thursday? Who knows? Maybe will it start next Tuesday? I don't know. So we're just going to keep an eye on it. But I did want to tell you that it is the watch party this week. And we do have the watch party scheduled. And I forgot to hold on one second. We'll chit chat for a second here while I get it pulled up.
You are so on the ball today. I am very impressed. You already have our episode that we're going to watch picked out.
Oh, yeah.
You got it all scheduled. It's ready to roll.
We are set. It is Crime Scene Berlin, The Nightlife Killer.
Ooh.
And this is episode 1. There's 3 episodes, and they're not very long. They're like 35 minutes long. So sometimes we just kind of keep going if it's really good. So I don't know. We'll probably keep it at 1, but this is episode 1. So this is Wednesday night at 7:15. And so if you're a part of our Buy Me a Coffee watch party, group, you'll get the email, the link to watch that. If you're not, you can join by going over to truecrimesquad.com. You'll find our Buy Me a Coffee link. Just head over there. It is $2 a month to be a part of the watch party. So it's super cheap. You do stream on your device. We can't stream Netflix because we don't have the right to do that. So you watch on your device. What you'll see on the screen literally is this postcard. And we'll all just be in the chat room together watching it together. And the watch party is fun. Some of you guys have been coming to the watch parties since we started doing them, and they're super fun. So, yeah. And this is a really interesting one. I watched the first episode and was like, yeah, you guys want to see this. I can tell. Yep.
Well, good.
Yep, good stuff. So we'll keep you abreast of Adelson, but we'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. for another episode. There's a lot going on, but I really wanted to wrap up Rossi correctly because we've been on Rossi since the very beginning.
Yep, we have.
So here we are. And tomorrow we should have verification from the prison as well, the Idaho Women's Prison in Pocatello, that Lori has arrived. So we'll provide you with that as well.
Yes, we will. Also, just a note, don't forget about merch. So this shirt is the Evidence Will Show. This came out of Lori's first trial in Arizona, the murder of Charles Vallow, when she said the evidence will show like 25 times in her opening of things that the evidence definitely did not show. But if you can see, there's real evidence on here, like fingerprints and DNA, cell phone data, and then this is a spyglass, because cool. Anyway, so this shirt is over there. The punching pillow, which is, by the way, double-sided and a nice sized pillow. They're so cute over there. Now, a word on the punching pillow, because we've heard that the punching pillow is really expensive to ship outside the U.S. We do not have a way to do just the pillow cover. We wish we did, but there isn't one. What we have, though, is we have t-shirts and tank tops with this graphic punching pillow on it, which are much cheaper to ship because you're not paying for the pillow, right? So you can make your own punching pillow just by getting one of those and putting it on one of your pillows. And that's the suggestion we have. We wish there was a way to just get the pillow cover, but there isn't one. How it goes. Anyway, so we have so much more merch too. I was going to show you. Shoot, I got my Sandy sticker too. It's on the back of my tablet, but it's not in this room. All of those things are available at truecrimesquad.com under True Crime Squad merch. Takes you to our merch store where we're continuing to add more things, and we'll continue to as we go. But yeah, I got to tell you, this is the nicest t-shirt. It is really soft. It's not super heavyweight. I don't like the really heavyweight ones because they're stiff. Yeah, this one's like the medium weight that's much softer and stretchier. This is such a nice color. I was really impressed. This is my first shirt I've seen. And so I thought, this is the first one I've actually seen come back from our new merch people. And good stuff, guys. So check it out over there.
Yeah. And just go to truecrimesquad.com to do that. Yes.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yes, Ashley, we can. She said, before we leave Rossi, can we revisit the hilarity of him getting caught and alleging that the nurses changed his tattoos? Yes. Yep. That was literally what the man thought. Not what he thought. It's what he tried to allege in fighting extradition. It's that's not him. He actually alleged that the ICU nurses that were busy trying to save his life because he had COVID and was intubated, that they gave him new tattoos to look like whoever that guy is.
Look like that one guy. Yeah.
Nick Rossi guy. Yeah.
I'm so pleased that they were able to bring in that hearing, as hard as it was to hear, of him with the fake accent and the fake name and the fake birth date. Like, that's who this guy is. Like, they don't get to know he was already a registered sex offender. He'd been convicted of 2 sexual assaults prior to this sexual assault. Yeah. They couldn't bring that in, but at least they could bring in the bullshit lying, which really tells the jury exactly what they needed to know about this guy.
Absolutely. Exactly who he is. Yep. But yes, I also actually have laughed a lot thinking about ICU nurses just, gloving up and whipping out their tattoo guns and just fixing people up.
Because so many of them are like great tattoo artists while they're busy being nurses.
Sure.
Probably not. Yeah. Crazy.
Crazy. Yeah. All righty, guys. We'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Thanks for being here very much. We appreciate you. Thanks for being a part of the squad. This has been
Yes.
yet another production of the True Crime Squad.
Bye, everybody.
Season 6, we're back again. Kristi and Katie, your crime time friends. Stories, justice, laughs collide. True Crime Squad, come join the ride. Grab the clues, let's take a stand. For victims' voices, hand in hand. True Crime Squad, it's time to shine. Season 6, your turn, your time. True Crime Squad, where justice meets hilarity.